Hey, I hope you're not too scared as it is, because you're about to get scareder when I tell you this little tale. 3 teens, Brad, Susan, and Pat. They were as teens are, kind of a whole host of rambunctions just flowing, flittering from left up and down to right. Brad was driving. He was driving fast through the road. On the road. He was on the road, driving. They didn't really know where they were anymore. Pat had the map, and he didn't know what he was doing with it. He saw these lines, he saw these squiggles. He might as well have had the thing like not even in front of his eyes. So they didn't know where they were. Trees as far as one could seize. It was kind of getting dark out. Things were getting a little tense. Susie was saying, "Guys, figure out where this is." And Brad was mad. He was like, "I know where this is. We're just Missy." And then Pat was in the background, just, kind of like, "Wah." Didn't really, a bit of a third wheel, this Pat. Because Brad and Susie were the dating kind. They were getting face to face, touching every place. And Pat was the ride-along boy. Pat got so frustrated with that map, he just threw it. He just threw it out the window. It blew 10 heavens away before he could not smell it anymore. All of a sudden, that's the car stopped. The car suddenly stopped. Can't really. It's a hard noise to. So the car stopped. Out of gas, maybe? Brad was like, "Oh, patooey! Stinkin' heck!" Susie was close to bawling, and I ain't talking about baskets. And Pat, he kind of felt responsible. A tear rolled down his lip. Oh, they were like, "Well, this car, it ain't gonna move. We don't know where we are. Let's, we gotta do something." Then Pat, first useful thing he's done on this trip, says, "Chips ahoy, there's a house." He was so excited, just Game Boy Advance dropped right out of his pocket. There was somewhere to go. Probably people in that house. Good chance there was a phone or two. So Brad says, "Here, Pat, you wait in the car. Me and Susie are gonna go give this a peek, give this a twirl." Pat said, "No, it's getting kind of dark out. I'm gonna come with you." And then Brad's like, "Well, this was kind of a pointless conversation." Okay, let's all go. So they're all 3 walking up to this house. It's getting darker and darker. Don't know which way the sun's going, but I'm guessing it's down. So Brad is like, "Okay guys, this is gonna be fine. I got this." Susie kind of looks wistfully at him as his hair blows in the wind and thinks, this is the man. And Pat is just also a little, taken aback. He's like, this is my bro. Then they're walking up to the house. Pat kind of sees a glint in the window. Susie must see it too, because she goes, hee! What was that? And then Brad's like, you idiots, we're hoping that people are in here. That's good. There's movement. There'll be phones. Okay. But Susie's like, but this place looks abandoned. It looks like it never did see a foot or two more than it in a long time. Brad says, nah, there's people in it. I can hear the phones. Pat, all of a sudden, trips. He didn't know how to use a map, doesn't know how to use his eyes. His leg just about plumb twists off. He's like, ugh. Then Brad's like, well, idiot, now you gotta go back to the car. So him and Susie pick up Pat and they throw him on top of the car. And he's like, darn it, I really wanted to go on this haunted house adventure. So Brad and Susie continue. They're walking back up to the house, getting further and further away from Pat's moans of pained leg. And they get up to the door. Reach out for the knob. Pull it, twist it, bop it, shake it. They got it under control. Brad twists that door open. He opens it like a wildfire was it behind him. Susie, once again, she's, looking and thinking, man, this guy can open a door. I bet he could shut one too. And my heart's got a door and it's open. And Pat goes, ah! In the background. Now the door is open. That's progression. It's dark in there. Webs for days. Just doors off their hinges. Nothing. Man, it's darker than a midnight sky in the June, or Susie says, shut up, Brad, you don't know what you're saying. He was saying that. And Brad is like, man, it smells like corpse in here. Susie says, and Brad continues kind of sniffing and smelling. He's like, what is this stench? Man, it's dark and it doesn't smell too good. And he gets hip and a holler and he goes, hey, phones. No response. Susie's like, I think that this house is no more. I think who once was here is once not here anymore. Brad is thinking, you're right. What are we gonna do? Then he remembers, Pat has got a cellular phone. Why didn't they think of that? They're like, okay, let's go back. Let's go get that, and then just call people. There's probably GPS, all kinds of technology. We can get on the Facebook. We could browse a tube or two while we're waiting. Just have a web kind of a time. There's webs in this house. There's webs on the internet. The door slams shut. It slams shut. Brad, frantically, he's like, I can't get it open. Susie says, there's windows. Let's use a window. They go up to a window and the shutters just clap like thunder. They don't know what they're gonna do. It actually just about snips Susie's finger, it pinches a little bit of the skin off. She goes, ha! And Brad is like, what the heck is going on here? There's things closing these shutters, he says. Then they hear something. Footsteps, it sounds like. Pindering and poundering upstairs. Brad is like, there is people, and phones are on their way. He smiles back at Susie. They're like, we're gonna get these phones before anything else crazy happens. The stairs give way. They break. What the heck? These stairs are stupid. They're just dumb and they don't work. Ah! Brad exclaims. Susie, now her foot is hurting. 'Cause Brad kind of grabbed onto the sides and like swung in place for a little bit, holding onto this rail and holding onto that rail. Susie just fell right down, and then Brad couldn't hold on anymore, fell right down on her. Just about plumb went through her stomach and the floor below. She's hurting. Why did we get lost and then go into this house? And Brad says, the phones, we had to find the phones. And there weren't any. Now, she's hurt. He's like, okay, you know what, that front door, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna kick it. I'm gonna kick it open. So, he drags Susie by the pinky finger back up to the door. He's mad now. He's like, ghosts be danged, I'm kicking this door in yeah. So he gives it a hoof, gives it a whoof, kicks it. It opens. But what? When it opens, it's pitch black. Pitch night. He sees nothing. He can't see anything. He kind of looks. He makes out that the car lights are on. Because I think car lights can still be on even if the gas is out. It's probably like a different system or what. He sees the car lights. He's like, okay, we're getting out of here. Hoists Susie up onto his shoulder. He kind of carries her like Indian people have the jar on their head. He kind of like, you picture him like putting her in the jar. It's a very efficient, because your head can actually take a lot of pressure, but don't do it too long and get a headache. So he's got Susie up above him and he's rushing back to the car, and that's when he sees blood. He says, Pat? Pat? Are you blood? And but there's nothing there. The car door is open. There's blood all throughout. It's like, Pat, why? And Susie is, hurting. She's hurting so much, she's just wailing like an undersea being. That's when Brad, all of a sudden, turns pale white. Just, oh boy, what does he see? Susie looks up at him and she's like, what? Is it Pat? You see Pat? He sees Pat. He sees Pat's head. Just his head. And it's floating. It's floating and the eyes are milky white. There's blood. There's bits of meaty meat and bloody string hanging down. And that head opens its mouth. It goes, ha! And it flies towards him. Goes right for Brad's face. Just starts right on Brad's face. It's eating nose like nobody's business. Like it was a food contest. Scrumping it up. He, of course, so much pain on his face. His hands give way. He drops Susie. She hits the ground face first. She goes, hot dang. She rolls a little bit. It's kind of a slope. She's rolling. Brad's like, oh, Pat! And, you know, but Pat is just eating on that face like a peach pie. And that, then Susie, she's rolling and rolling. She rolls, hits her face on a tree, knocked out. Oh boy. Wakes up. Still so dark. Her eyes she's adjusting to her surroundings. It's like unblurring, like it starts out blurry and then unblurs. Like she's got the crusts, you know? And she's like, what? Her head is pounding. At this point, she's got like 5 different injuries all over her. She's like, she can kind of see the car and she's like, well, screw this to heck. She starts crawling, pulling herself back up that hill to get to that car. And she's like, this is it. You know, this is done. Brad, you were okay. There's no way you survived the face chomping. Pat, you were just ahead. You know, so that's sorry. So she's crawling up, and that's when she sees 2 heads. And let me tell you, that ain't better than 1. She sees him. It's Brad, and it's Pat. And then, coming from behind them, are tons of other heads. There's squirrel heads. There's a little boy in a Batman costume's head. There's heads just all over. And she turns to the camera and says, I think this is heading in a bad direction. And that's when all of the heads converge on her and eat her flesh. And then we zoom out from that. Kind of wide shot of the house. There's a sign in front of the house. It's all dusty, but the wind blows the dust away, and what it says, if only they had seen this before they tried going in, it says Headtown. And so they would have kept the heck away from there. And now they're all dead.